welcome to another episode of Asexualise, my Asexual life. This is a place to be for education about asexuality, all things asexual. I share my own asexual life journey in order to help you in yours. If you haven't already subscribed, hit that great big subscribe button right here, right now. Please hit that bell icon so you get notified of every time I go live. Like now, I'll post a new video. Now, this was a question I had by my asexualise.com blog, and they said, what are the signs of asexuality? How do you know you are asexual? So in this video, I'm going to answer that for you. Now, first of all, if you don't know who I am Sandra Bellamy. I'm the author of this awesome Asexual Perspectives, 47 Asexual Stories, Love, Life and Sex, a celebration of asexual diversity. So there are 46 different stories in there and my own. And so, yeah, good to read. It is in the description below. And I'm also the author of Fibromyalgia Self-Help Handbook, which helps you to have less pain, more energy and feel happier if you've got fibromyalgia or if you are just wanting to know how to do it. It's a really good book. Anyway, and there are now, both of these books are in Barnes & Noble, and they are also obviously available on Amazon. So, yes, let's crack on. So what is asexuality? You know, what are the signs of asexuality and how do you know if you are asexual or not? So, a lot of people that find out they're asexual, they find out usually later on in life, quite a lot of the time. Some younger people, some teenagers or younger than that can actually know they're asexual. So there isn't an age where you specifically know you're asexual or not. You know, it's different for everyone. But in the majority of cases, I would say no one really knows until they progress through their life that they are asexual. I've come across quite a few teenagers that do identify already as asexual. And one of the things that I don't like is when people put teenagers down like, oh, you know, you're too young to know whether you're asexual or not. That is rubbish, right? That's rubbish. You know your own mind. I knew my own mind when I was 15 years old. I knew I was never going to have children. That's never, ever, ever changed. And I was very patronised by a doctor one day who said to me, oh, you'll change your mind one day. And I thought, no, I really won't. If I wanted to change my mind, it would not be giving birth naturally, it would be adoption. But I already decided and had that conversation in my head at 15 years old and knew that wasn't for me either. So asexuality is a sexual orientation that's a lack of sexual attraction. So the thing is, a lot of people don't actually define what sexual attraction is. So sexual attraction is the need, urge or want for partnered sexual intercourse because you feel that innate need, desire and urge with a particular person or people. So you look at a particular person and think, really like sex with you. Thanks for the thumbs up. Yeah, I think people underestimate teenagers' intelligence. Oh, thank you. Deli Vive? Is that Deli V? Is that how you pronounce it? I love your name. So yeah, yes, I totally agree. People do underestimate teenagers' intelligence. I often think that a lot of teenagers these days, they're bound to be actually a lot more intelligent than older people because they are today's generation and the internet and technology is there at their fingertips. So they are literally consuming a huge amount of information. Not necessarily everything's right, though, that you consume. But that's true for everyone. But, you know, they are so much more advanced these days. So in terms of sexual attraction, it's, you know, you would look at someone, you think, God, I really want sex with that particular person or people, right? So sexual desire is when you desire the sex in and of itself. Now, usually they go together, but not necessarily. There are a few people who identify as asexual that don't experience any sexual attraction towards anyone, but they still desire the sex itself. That's a bit confusing. That would be on the more grey end of the asexual spectrum. So asexuality is a spectrum that goes sort of from the very pure, what I call pure asexuals, those that experience no sexual attraction whatsoever, and they would experience no romantic attraction whatsoever on the very, very pure, no romantic attraction, no sexual attraction. So they haven't got much attraction going on, going all the way through to like the romantic asexuals that don't experience sexual attraction, and then going through all up to the grey asexuals. Now, the grey asexuals are on the more sexual end of the asexual spectrum before the sexual spectrum begins. And so the grey asexuals, the definition of that, the textbook definition, is grey asexuals do experience sexual attraction, but not in the same way as the ordinary person would and the most of the world would. They experience sexual attraction, but it's only under limited, rare, or specific circumstances, or they experience it not enough to want to act on it. So in the terms of not enough to want to act on it, the sexual attraction is not strong enough. They may see someone, they may think, oh, you know, I'm feeling a bit of attraction to them sexually, but it's not really doing anything for me enough to make me want to actually have sex, because they're not actually that interested in the sex. They're just getting maybe some urges. And then there's another part of the grey, which is the, you know, they do experience it in limited, rare, specific circumstances. So they might just experience it with like a few people in their life, like 3 or 4 people, for example. And they might experience it once and not again for another 3 years or something. Or they might only experience it with a certain person. And then that goes towards demisexual. So demisexual belongs to the grey asexual, so the more sexual end of the asexuality spectrum. And a demisexual is someone who experiences sexual attraction only when a deep emotional bond has been formed. They cannot experience it otherwise. So they are like the average asexual, if you like. They can't experience sexual attraction unless they form that deep emotional connection. This is different to traditional heterosexuals, for example, or traditional sexuals, because sexuals will still get those need, urge, or want without the emotional connection. They might desire to have an emotional connection as a preference for being in a relationship, but they still experience the sexual attraction. Whereas a demisexual doesn't, unless they have that emotional bond. Do you see what I mean? It's an unless. They have to experience emotional bond to experience sexual attraction. The average sexual person doesn't do that. They can experience sexual attraction anyway, but they can be holding back to have an emotional connection just because they don't want one-night stands and they don't want relationships that aren't very fulfilling, right? It's different. Hi, it's Deli. Thank you. I'm a new subscriber. Oh, lovely to see you. Lovely to see you. Dieli? Is that how you pronounce it? Dieli? You might have to remind me, but it's a nice name. It's beautiful. Where does it come from? What country? Anyway, it's lovely to have you here. So signs you might be asexual. I'm glad I pronounced it right. Lots of love to you. So it's obviously a foreign name. Is it Indian or Italian or Pakistani or French? I'm intrigued now. It reminds me of a beautiful flower, actually. So getting back to signs you might be asexual. So something that is very noticeable in pure asexuals, if you like, is when they were younger growing up, they could be any age, but when throughout their life, especially like at school, they will be different to other kids. They will notice that everyone else is talking about how hot someone is, making out with someone, having sex, and it's a really big deal to many people. And they'll be thinking, I don't see what the big deal is. I don't really get it. I don't really feel like that, or I don't really think like that. And they'll feel probably more like an outsider, or someone that's looking at the situation with more of a critical eye, more of a like analytical eye. So yeah, it's very, very interesting, you know. So usually you would never look at a person and think, I want sex with that person. If you're a pure asexual, it just wouldn't enter your head. You wouldn't go and think, I want sex with that person now. Now that's very different to an asexual that's in a relationship with a sexual person, and some asexuals don't mind having sex. So there's a very big myth and stereotype that no asexuals will ever want sex, ever need sex, never like sex. For a lot of asexuals, that's totally true. Many asexuals are sex repulsed. They don't want sex. They don't like sex. They don't need it, right? But there are some asexuals that do participate in sex because they're in relationships with sexuals. And they want to be in that relationship. Now, there's a difference between wanting sex for sex because it's something they innately need and desire, and saying they want sex because they want to please their partner or they want to bond with their partner in that way. See, this is where it gets confusing, because sexual attraction and a lack of sexual attraction is you lack the need, urge, or want for partner sexual intercourse. You don't actually, as an asexual, need it if you're a pure asexual. There's no need there. So if you're with a sexual person, you'd be able to take sex or leave it. You don't mind, you don't mind not having it. Like, you can live with years with never having it in your life. But if you're with a sexual person and they want sex, you probably would have it unless you're sex repulsed and they've accepted that. If you were a person that engaged in sexual intercourse, it would be because you were in that relationship and you wanted to keep it, you wanted to grow it, you wanted to please the partner, you wanted them to have their pleasure in that way, you wanted to satisfy them, all these type of things, right? So some people are like, oh, well, I'm asexual, but I want sex. But do they want sex as in, I see someone and I want sex because I'm sexually attracted, or they want sex because they want to have it, because they're willing to have it, because they agree to it? There's a very big difference which people confuse. People are like, well, I want sex and I'm asexual. You've got to work out, when you're saying I want it, the reasoning behind where you want it, where it's you get that need, urge, or want for that person sexually, or whether you are just wanting it because you're willing to do it. Because it's much better if you're having sex, obviously, as an asexual person, to want to do it, to consent to it, to be willing to do it. So in that way, you may want it, but there's a very big difference between wanting sex to please a partner, or to satisfy the partner, or to maintain the relationship, or to flourish the relationship, than actually wanting the sex itself with that specific person because you're experiencing those type of urges, wants, and needs. And there's a distinction there that needs to be made. Dialy, my parents actually created the name, doesn't really come from anywhere. I thought this channel was really good because I was questioning if I was an asexual as well. Oh, thank you. Oh, bless you. That's lovely. Oh, lots of love. I don't think you were the person that actually left the message in my website, though, were you? There's a person who left a message. So that's quite interesting. So yeah, so some of the signs, like from a kid, like I said, that you might have people that are going on about sex around you, about hot, steamy sex, about making out, all this type of stuff, and you're thinking it doesn't really interest me. If you're a romantic person like me, you might be thinking, I want to kiss that person, I want to cuddle that person, I want to hold hands with that person, but the thought doesn't cross your mind of actually wanting sex. Like, when I was growing up, I never thought about I want sex. It was something that never entered my head. And even though I was in sexual relationships in the past, and with my long-term ex of 8.5 years, it was all consensual, I still don't remember ever looking at him and thinking the word want. I want sex with you just doesn't enter my head, because I actually don't want it. I was willing to do it. I thought that's what was expected of me in a relationship, and I'm like, just get on with it. Like, whatever you want to do, kind of thing. I guess somewhat removed from it in that way. But I never looked at him and thought, oh, I really want sex with you now. It just didn't enter my head. There was a few times that I instigated it from memory, and that was because I kind of knew he was in the mood, and I wanted to be in control of the situation more. And so I kind of knew what was coming anyway, so I thought, it's kind of better to be in control of it sometimes than it is just to have it happen to you, if you know what I mean. So I think there was a few times I instigated for it from memory, but I can't actually remember fully. I just remember remembering that I did a few times, but I don't actually fully remember doing it. So maybe I didn't. Thanks for the thumbs up. Lots of love. It's like over 9 years ago now since I had sex. You know what I mean? It's like so ages ago that it's very difficult for me to remember. I remember some bits of it really clearly, and other bits I'm like a bit like it's a bit grey for me. So, you know, and then, you know, like there might be, you might still feel arousal without experiencing sexual attraction. Now, this is a grey area. So I experience arousal, but I don't experience any sexual attraction whatsoever. Now, for me, that's very confusing. Even though I've been helping asexuals for over 5 years now on this channel, for me personally, that's still confusing for my personal identity. I like sometimes like question myself, like, why you experience arousal yet you don't experience sexual attraction? And I kind of give myself a hard time sometimes, I think, and it's not really fair on me because it is the way it is. But it's very like frustrating because it's like I don't want sex, but I have this arousal and I'm just like, what do I do with it? Sometimes it's really strong and it's very easily activated. And I think, well, I know now that that's what I mistook for sexual attraction years ago. I thought I was heterosexual. I thought I experienced sexual attraction because I didn't realise arousal was a separate thing. But when I realised what asexuality actually was, and it's a lack of sexual attraction, and that basically means that you don't actually look at someone and think, I want sex with that person or anyone. You lack sexual attraction for anyone. Like a pure asexual doesn't experience any sexual attraction for anyone. Then, you know, when I realised that, I'm like, oh my God. And I didn't even realise I experienced lots of arousal because when I was in a relationship for a long time, it's kind of like partly normal in that relationship because we were having sex and doing sexual stuff. It kind of just went along with the territory. But having been single for the majority of time, you know, I haven't been in a long-term relationship now for for over 9 years. It was 8.5 years I was with the person in total. Then it's kind of like, you know, I became, when I went in the asexual community forums, I became aware of my own body and the experience arousal, and I'm like, oh, damn it. So, in my case, it's arousal towards fictional characters or voices, but not real humans, ha. Oh, nice to see you. Is it Sai or Sal? Oh, Sal. S-A-L, yeah. I think my eyes are going a bit, woohoo. Sal, in my case, it's arousal towards fictional characters or voices, but not real humans. It's nice to see you. Lots of love. Oh, thank you for saying that. Yeah, that is part of the asexuality spectrum, isn't it? Some experience, I think, sexual attraction towards fictional characters as well, not just arousal. And some feel romantic, but yeah, I voices I can understand more because like, I know I've got a nice voice because I used to do hospital radio and I've been on the BBC a couple of times and even the BBC said, oh, you got a really nice radio voice. So I'm like, so I do like my voice myself. And yeah, I can understand how if you experience arousal, the voices would kind of like instigate that. Sometimes I can understand that because some people have very kind of sexy voices, very attractive voices, like an accent maybe. I like Indian accents because I'm into Indian guys. So I love it when an Indian guy says, my name's Sandra. Or it doesn't have to be an Indian guy. I've had other guys that I dated from foreign countries, but it's the way they say my name, you know? So even an Italian person or Spanish person, Sandra! That kind of makes me aroused, and I shouldn't say it because it's like it's live here now. Yeah, so it's like I can arouse myself very easily. That's the thing, you know what I mean? I don't have to have anyone involved with it. It can just be me sat here, which is, you know, it's like, can you give me a break, body, please? It's like I just want to relax and not think about this type of stuff because, you know, like for me, like if you experience arousal but no sexual attraction, it's kind of like, what do you do? It's like, oh, you know what I mean? It's very difficult, I think, because I do have strong romantic attraction as well. Like I love romance, and romance and arousal are not a good combination to have, really. And I adore kissing. Like kissing is my huge thing. But a lot of asexuals, they don't like kissing as much as I do. So in terms of like signs of asexuality, there are some people that are touch averse. Doesn't mean to say they're all asexual, but you know that if a person doesn't want anything to do with sexual contact, sexual acts, any type of sexual touching, if they don't really like being touched at all, there are some signs that they might be asexual. Obviously, there could be some other reason why they just don't like it. I met a guy once and he was autistic. There are quite a number of people who are asexual that are autistic, just to let you know as well, because I've got a number of friends that are. But this particular person, I met him and he said, I'm autistic and I don't like to be touched. And it was his autism. He didn't identify as asexual, it was his autism that he didn't like people touching him. But when I was growing up, I didn't used to like people even hugging me. I didn't like physical contact. The only physical contact I liked was if I was in a relationship, a committed relationship, or to hug my parents and goodbye, usually, not even hello. That was it. That was the only physical contact that I would have. I wouldn't have any other. I'm different now. I can hug strangers, actually, like, if they want to, like, to meet and greet, you know? So I'm very different like that now, but I've retrained myself. I went to an event and we had to do that type of thing. Attraction is very strange. I look back at elementary school memories and it was like I pretended to like certain celebrities, like Zac Efron. Oh, he's damn cute. I like younger guys. Who was a big crush for many girls. Yeah, I don't get crushes either because I'm not aromantic. So those that lack romantic attraction, they tend to have crushes. But I don't. I just full on have love feelings usually for someone or romantic feelings for someone. I don't have crushes. It's yeah. And I don't experience platonic attraction. So the majority of asexuals, they experience platonic attraction. I don't experience any platonic attraction. So it jumps from I've just met the person to I'm aesthetically attracted to you, or I'm romantically attracted to you, or I'm attracted to your clothes, or, you know, I'm attracted to your intelligence. I experience multiple attractions, but not platonic. So usually I end up talking to guys that I'm romantically or aesthetically attracted to the majority of the time. And I can have feelings for my friends without meaning to. I just can't help it. So usually they know, I tell them, and then I forget about it, or doesn't matter, because once you tell someone, for me, it lowers the intensity of it so that I don't feel it as much, which is very helpful. It's a kind of weird telling your friends, especially when most of my friends like guys. It's like, I know you're not going to fancy me. I know you're not going to be attracted to me, but I'm just telling you because I had to tell you because it's better for me to tell you. I can get on with my life then, you know, that type of thing. So yeah, there tends to be more aromantic asexuals, so those that lack romantic attraction and sexual attraction. There tends to be more of them than any type of category or subcategory of asexuality. And their asexuality is just so huge because someone who's like a pure asexual doesn't experience any sexual attraction, like I said, and then someone who's on the more sexual end of the asexual spectrum, they will experience some under limited, rare, specific circumstances, or not enough to want to act on it. So you've got these like really wide, if you think of a piece of string, you've kind of got the really non-romantic, non-sexual people there going all the way through to the more sexual before the actual sexual spectrum starts, and these can be very close together. I mean, I've met some, it's very difficult sometimes because I have great area of kissing, which is sexual in behaviour but zero sexual attraction. But I think I was born this way on purpose so that I can help all asexuals, because I kind of have a little bit of most different types of a lot, not most, not all, but some of different types of asexuals in me somehow. Sal, I'm arrow. Oh, I know some people say arrow man. I say aromantic usually, yes, but most people pronounce it aromantic. But anyway, I'm arrow, and the struggle was that I didn't know if I was arrow or not. I was emotionally unavailable 24/7. I'd like to know if more people go through that sort of thing. Right, okay, yeah, so you can get two types of aromantics. You can get aromantic asexuals, or you can get aromantic sexuals. So for example, obviously different types of sexuals: bisexual, pansexual, homosexual, heterosexual, right? So if you're an aromantic person, someone who doesn't experience romantic attraction, but you are sexually attracted to people, so that could be any, you know, sexually attracted to whatever gender you're attracted to, so for example, heterosexual, an aromantic heterosexual, if you're a aromantic heterosexual, you would usually want, obviously, sex with the opposite sex and you'd experience sexual attraction, but you wouldn't need much more than the sex because you don't need romance. And often sexual aromantics that I've come across, they don't have the same emotional type of need and connection in that way. I can see a distinction between aromantic sexuals and aromantic asexuals. Aromantic asexuals tend to love via a very, very deep platonic love. They have a platonic kind of love for their friends, but they can actually, some of them want a relationship, which is like a queer platonic relationship, which is deeper than their average friendship, which is a very deep friendship anyway. And so an aromantic asexual, I find, is a lot more emotional because aromantic asexuals tend to need people more. In my experience, this is only my personal experience, I'm not aromantic, this is my experience of the people I've talked to so far, the people I've interacted with, right? And some aromantic asexuals can come across to me personally as romantic because they can be very friendly, very, very messaging, very wanting to spend a lot of time with you, but they don't actually have any romantic feelings whatsoever. Now, most asexuals love, for example, in relationships, through a deep emotional connection. But, for example, an aromantic sexual person, they don't tend to have that emotional connection need. All they need is the sex, usually, to fulfill the sexual attraction need, and they're a very self-contained unit. And they don't kind of need much other than themselves. I find that aromantic asexuals are a bit of the opposite way in the fact that obviously they don't need the sex, and also they can be very much more emotional, and they need that emotional connection to be bonded to their friends. Sometimes their friends they will cuddle. Some aromantic asexuals hate physical contact. Other aromantic asexuals, they need to cuddle their friends on the couch and stuff like this, and hug them and stuff like this, and have physical contact like that, which for me is a romantic asexual. Someone experienced romantic attraction, that's something I would only do in a serious, committed, romantic relationship. I would not do that with my friends. That is completely out of the question for me. It's like going across boundaries that's wrong for me personally. So, you know, the problem is with the asexuality spectrum, it's beautiful because it's so diverse. But obviously that is also a problem as well because there's so many different people who identify a similar or same sort of way, but they can be completely different. You've got me, who identifies as a heteromantic asexual, so I'm attracted to guys romantically, not females, right? But I am so into kissing, like for hours, like a hobby. I'm a hyper-romantic, right? I'm on the top end of romance and physical kissing contact with my clothes on, I might add, because I'm nudity repulsed, right? Then you can get other romantic asexuals. They're not romantic in the same way I am, in the same intensity. They don't have as many romantic needs as I do. They don't need the kissing. Some of them may like a little peck on the lips, like that. Some might not even want that. A lot of the people don't want someone's tongue in their mouth, whereas I do. I love that. You see, so two people identifying as heteromantic asexuals, one can not be that romantic and just like little pecks of kisses and want type of a person to do activities with and be a mate to, a friend to, and hang out together and live together and marriage maybe. And another person like me can be the opposite, like I don't want marriage actually, and extremely romantic. Like everything to me is romantic. Like on the 14th of February 2021, we're in now, I will be celebrating International Celebrate Being Single Day, which I founded on February the 14th, 2015, so that no single person ever has to feel lonely ever again. Instead, we can celebrate it as our special day. So on February the 14th, that's my date today. I shall be dating myself, even though we're in lockdown. So I shall be getting myself nice food to eat. I will be watching movies. I will be, if I was not in lockdown, I would go out to the cinema and out for a meal, something like that. but I am in lockdown over here, so I will still be celebrating because it's my special day. So I'll date myself, and I love love. I love romance and passion and excitement, but I don't want the sex. So I like passion without sex with my clothes on. I got to remember how to pronounce your name. Dieli. I think there is a 10-minute audio documentary on Vimeo titled Aromanticism, Who Needs Love Anyways? I loved listening to it. Do some people within the LGBT plus community disagree with including asexuality and aromanticism in the community? Okay. Good question. Wow. Do you want my personal opinion or do you want other people's opinion? Okay, so personally for me, I've spoke about this on my channel before. I think it's up to people if they want to be part of the LGBT plus community. Asexuality is part of the acronym, the plus A bit. So LGBT plus QIA, or QIA plus, whichever you want to, some people put it the other way. So the A, stands for asexual, although that's been debated a lot. And some people say it's for agender and androgynous. So anyway, in my Asexual Perspectives book, Darren Marples, he's the founder of Pride Matters. He said it is, so he's not asexual, but I interviewed him in this book, which is, the link's down below in the description. He said it is for asexual. So yeah, so me personally, I think that asexuality is very different to LGBT in the sense that they experience sexual attraction, we don't. It's very, very different. And so my personal life mission, what I've been put on this planet Earth to do, is to get asexuality recognised as a sexual orientation in its own right globally, so that no asexual has to live in fear of ridicule ever again. Because I appreciate we're part of the LGBT plus community. I don't actively participate much in that community. I find that some people are very sexual in it because they experience sexual attraction, which is great for them. And also because I'm heteromantic, I don't feel I fit in to the actual LGBT plus community. And I don't class myself as queer. But I understand that asexuality is part of the acronym, so I'm part of the LGBT plus community in that way, whether I like it or not. But I never classed aromanticism as part of LGBT plus. And I think it was last year it was brought to my attention that aromanticism is supposed to be part of LGBT plus. But I never knew it was, because when I originally knew LGBT plus, aromanticism wasn't in there. But the acronym has changed so much. So because aromantics don't experience romantic attraction, but they still experience sexual attraction unless they're an aromantic asexual person. So for me personally, I know personally that I have to get it recognised separately. Doesn't mean to say it can't be part of the acronym, because it is anyway, well, I like it all. But personally, I think that asexuality should be recognised separately, and that we should work together with the LGBT plus community in and of our own right, in our own entities. So that, for example, when it gets on the news, it's kind of like, oh, we've got LGBT plus community, like pride parade, and then we've got we've got asexuality pride parade, and we have these two minority sexualities, which is why it's meant to. That's how we're meant to fit into the LGBT plus community, because we're all meant to be minority sexual orientations. But obviously, it's getting very, very wide now, And aromanticism is to do with romantic orientation. It isn't to do with sexual orientation. So romantic orientation separate to sexual orientation. So that's why I didn't quite understand why aromantic sexuals would fit into the LGBT plus community, because they're still highly sexual. I've met the ones I've come across online, aromantic sexuals, really sexual, because they don't need the romance. So all they need is the sex, because they experience sexual attraction. They don't need to emotionally connect with someone because they don't need that in their life. So yeah, but obviously because I'm hetero, I don't feel I fit in there either, because I'm not attracted to women at all or multiple genders. I'm just attracted to cis guys usually. Um, yeah, I understand why it would need a community sort of separate from that. The spectrum is very wide. That's true. Yeah. So, I'm always honest on this channel. Some people asexual, they feel like they fit into LGBT because obviously there's people who are bisexual in there, attracted to two different genders. So they relate to those people because it's still someone who experiences sexual attraction to more than one gender. So I really get it. But from my point of view, my mission is to get sexuals to understand asexuality. I really believe that's probably why I had all these sexual relationships in the past, was because of where I am now, that I have to get asexuality recognised as a sexual orientation globally in its own right, and that takes a lot of doing. There are other people that are activists and other people that are spreading the word of asexuality, not just me, but I'm very, very, very much more orientated towards specifically asexuality rather than being known for LGBT plus as well. The majority of the other people that I know, they're very, very in a lot of communities to do with LGBT plus. It doesn't mean to say I won't go in them ever. It doesn't mean to say I won't work with them. It doesn't mean to say, I still support them because I got friends that are lesbian and friends that are gay. So I will always support. Always. I don't have a problem with supporting. I will always be there for them in that way, cheering them on, you know what I mean? It's just specifically, I look at the wider picture and I look at the only way we're going to stop or help prevent more rapes and sexual abuse in kids is by people understanding that some people that just don't want it. And that is why I do what I do. That is why I really need to get recognised as a sexual orientation. It's not about a label. It's not about hiding or being part of a mix of something. It's actually coming out in our own right and saying, there are people that really don't want, need, or like sex. And I'm very passionate about this, I'm very passionate. It just keeps taking years and years, It's a patience thing. You have to keep sort of like getting asexuality known, but I just because I'm in one LGBT group, which is a UK group, but I don't go in it very often. That's on Facebook, because for me, I need to get asexual recognised separately. I mean, lots of people have said to me, oh, if you're part of LGBT more, maybe you get more publicity for asexuality. They could be right about that. But, I need sexuals to understand asexuality. And if we're clumped together with the other type of sexuals, if we're clumped together with bisexuals, homosexuals, as a unit, how is anyone who's sexual, heterosexual, for example, the typical heterosexual in the world, how are they ever going to understand the difference? They're just going to be like, oh, that person's LGBT. That's all, not normal preferences. But the whole point of asexuality, like pure asexuals, which is what we really need to get across in the world, the people that don't want sex, the people that are sex repulsed, the people that don't experience sexual attraction, those are the people we need to get recognition for the most. I support everyone on the asexual spectrum, but for those asexuals that are having sex, don't mind doing it, quite enjoy it as an activity to do. They don't really need any, they don't really need so much the publicising of people not wanting, liking, or needing sex. Do you see what I'm coming from? Because they don't mind it. But it's the people, it's the teenagers, it's the kids that grow up saying, you want love? Well, you got to have sex to get it. That's what's wrong with society. That's what's wrong with the world. That's what's wrong with schools and education. That's what's wrong from day one when you pop out and you're like here in the world. That love and sex are associated together, and they just aren't. They're separate, but people put them together all the time. People are conditioned this way from birth, pretty much, and it's horrendous. Imagine just the kids that are asexual at the moment, and they're trying to make they're trying to make sense of the world through the sexual eyes, through the heterosexual eyes, through the heteronormative eyes, through the, the sex world. Imagine those kids scared. Imagine those kids not understanding, not comprehending what everyone's talking about. I know asexuals that have been on comments and been on this channel, and I hear them in groups and in forums. I run 5 asexual groups on Facebook myself, and I hear them. You know, I hear when they grew up. I've seen David J, an asexual activist, talk about asexuality on a couple of shows, like the Tucker Carlson show, I think. Tucker Carlson was very judgmental towards David J. Yeah, I'm friends with David J on Facebook, actually. Yeah, some people don't believe that love can exist on its own without sex. Yeah. You know, and that's why I need to get asexuality recognised separately. Because I think about when I'm gone, when I'm not here in this planet anymore, when I'm not here, like, what will I have done to help asexuals who predominantly don't want, like, or need sex? Especially the don't need bit, right? Because there are a number of asexuals that don't need sex, but they will have it anyway because they're with a sexual person. But it's this innate need and desire that's a very defining factor. We don't get the need for it. It's not like we've got to have it. And if we don't have it, something's wrong or off, or we don't feel good about ourselves or our relationships, you know? So there needs to be the element of pure asexuality, and those that are those that have variations as well. You know, even grey asexuality, you know, it all needs to be recognised, because obviously with grey asexuals, if they experience sexual attraction under limited, rare or specific circumstances, they might experience it for one person in 10 years. And, you know, and maybe they end up being in a relationship with that person for 10 years, and they get out of the relationship and they just like, I don't experience it anymore. Because they were actually a grey asexual, you know, and then people are like, oh, there's something wrong with you then, you got to get your hormones tested because you were having sex before, you must be, like, interested in sex, you know what I mean? So there needs to be a huge understanding, but in order for sexuals to comprehend asexuality, there needs to be a very distinctive line drawn, and that needs to be publicised as predominantly asexuals do not want, like, or need sex. Because sexuals are not going to understand the difference else. They're just going to be like, well, that person's just the same as everyone else. They're having sex, so what does it matter? What are you talking about? Do you know what I'm saying? There has to be recognition for those asexuals that do not want sex ever, that don't need it, don't desire it, because those are the people that are most likely to be vulnerable to being raped and sexually abused because they don't want sex in the first place. And this is a big deal, you know? It's not like, oh, we're going to some pride parade, isn't it good? Which is great for publicity for us. What about other people? What about the generations that are growing up? What about people, kids in schools and stuff like that? What about reaching out to them, you know? Like, it's really good to have parades and be proud of who you are, and it is an example. But we also need to be doing a lot more work, I think, as a whole unit of activists and people who are representing asexuality to get the don't want sex part recognised. Now, this is difficult because sexuals talk sexually. They understand sex. They like sex. They want it. So, unfortunately, ironically, one of the ways you get through to sexuals is by talking in their language and by being a bit more on their wavelength. And that's kind of really weird and hard, but it's probably the harsh truth. You know, it's probably someone who's sexual, got some sexualness about them, that would more likely be able to get through to me. I mean, because I've been in sexual relationships for over half of my life, I do have a lot of, you know, I have sexual experience quite a bit more than some other asexuals would likely have, probably. You know, and I think, well, I can bridge the gap, you know, between sexuals and asexuals. I believe I can, but I write books, you know, I'm on my second book for asexuals, so I've got to get out this year ASAP, and that is Asexual Guide to Sex. If you're new to this channel, you're probably thinking, what the heck is she writing a book about sex for? So in June 2019, that's when I started writing the Asexual Guide to Sex book. And basically the reason I did this was because I actually got an aromantic asexual person who's an online friend of mine pop in my inbox on Facebook saying, hey Sandra, if I want to have sex, what would I do? And because I'm personally sex repulsed myself these days, I'm like, I didn't expect someone to say that. And I guess I least expected an aromantic asexual person to say it, because aromantics don't experience romantic attraction, and most of the asexual aromantics I know, they don't actually think about having sex usually. And so that was an interesting question. I'm like, oh, I didn't realise someone would actually think about having that and want to know what to do in it. And then I looked in forums and groups of asexuals, and I realised there was quite a number of asexuals were having the same problem. They were actually, some of them, in relationships with sexuals, or they've been in it, and they said, I'm still confused, I don't know what I'm doing, I don't know what to do with my hands or my arms or my legs. And so that's how the book was born, to help the people that don't know what they're doing and thinking about trying it for the first time. It's like, don't try it until you've read this book, then you can make an informed choice or decision. So there's me and 17 other asexuals in the book that are talking openly about our experience of when we first had sex, and how that feels like as an asexual person, and giving advice to other asexuals about, you know, how to prepare for it emotionally, mentally, physically, all that type of thing, which is never discussed usually in books. Sex is usually glorified. This is the good, the bad, and the very ugly about sex, telling experiences that are not good as well as experiences that are good from different asexuals, you know, some of which are having sex still and some of which aren't. And so, you know, I think it's better to have this type of book done and out there, and keep asexuals as safe as possible if they're going to have sex, and be ignorant and not understand what you have to do. I mean, I know one asexual person, she got pregnant because she's like thinking, oh, I'm asexual, I can't get pregnant, or I don't know what I'm doing. And it's like, well, you can still get pregnant if you're asexual. You know, it only takes one sperm to fertilise an egg and then you're off. Do you know what I mean? And so it's like, you know what I'm saying? It's like, you know, that I've heard some other people, oh, we tried sex. I'm like, did you use protection? They're like, we just did it. I'm like, well, you know, there needs to be sexual education for asexuals as well, for those who think about trying it. Oh, that's awesome. Congratulations. Thank you so much. Lots of love. Thank you so much. I really appreciate that. Yeah, I'm on my second book for asexual, so hopefully I should have that out. It should be out in the next couple of months. It's meant to be out in January. Well, I was meant to finish the ebook version in January, at the end of January, which is gone. But I had some urgent paperwork, admin I had to deal with it. I couldn't put it off. It was like serious stuff. So I had to deal with that for like the last like couple of weeks of January. I still got some stuff going on with that, but you know, the bulk of it's out the way now. The bit that had to be done by the deadline's out the way. So but I don't want to, it's just my bit of the book I need to write now. Everyone else's is done, the other interviewees, but my bit of the book is a significant bit of the book, and mine's a lot more about the safety aspects overall and that type of thing. So I have to take my time, I can't rush it. But I've been editing with a lot of the other interviewees for like one person over a year and a half off and on. There should be more asexual characters in movies and TVs. Yeah, it would be really good. I mean, I do no sex movie reviews on this channel. I don't know if you noticed that. There's a playlist, and it's no sex movie reviews. So I love watching movies that that don't have sex in them or nudity, because I'm nudity repulsed. So I try and find all the movies. So it's surprising how many I'll find, actually, because, you know, most people, and even me years ago, was like, oh, sex is everything. But actually, I managed to find the majority of movies that don't have any sex in them. And usually the majority of them don't have nudity in them. They're in, I know there's one that has a naked body from afar in it. I can tell you. Gone in 60 Seconds, I did a review of that one. So there was some sexual stuff going on, but you didn't actually see the sex. So, but yeah, there was one bit where this woman was naked right across in the window. So that, you know, that wasn't, but there wasn't actually shown sex. So yeah, it was a little bit like, do they really have to put that in there? But the majority of films I watch have got nothing like that in it. So, yeah, so it's very, very interesting. Oh, Sal, just to answer your question, there are some other people, aromantics, that I have come across that that people do say they're unemotionally available. So just to let you know, you're not alone, but I've usually experienced that with aromantics who aren't asexual. Hopefully I mentioned that earlier. I think I did. Doesn't mean to say that there aren't asexuals like you out there, but I don't know if you're aromantic asexual or aromantic sexual. I don't know which one you are. You're still welcome here anyway. I still have sexual people come in my chat, heterosexual guys, for example, who are respectful. They have asexual partners, actually. So yeah, we're still welcome here, obviously. So yeah, it's good to chat. So yeah, I'm trying to think if there's anything else I need to say about asexuality. I mean, obviously there's like like I said, the no touching thing. Usually with asexuality, when you have a relationship, for example, with another asexual, you're really focused more on hobbies and interests and doing that type of thing together than you are physicality. So in my experience of many asexuals that are pure asexuals, for example, don't experience any sexual attraction, it's more about cuddles. Usually a lot of asexuals like cuddles. I prefer kissing to cuddling, which is quite rare. Very rare for an asexual, very rare for a female, I would say as well. So I like full-on snogging. That's my thing. And my preference. And then I like cuddling and holding hands. So yeah. But I like kisses more than anything. It's like, oh my god. I'm a bit kissaholic. In case you hadn't noticed. So yeah, it's very interesting. So a lot of asexuals, they tend to prefer cuddling to kissing. They like that feeling of someone being warm next to them. It's a lot more, their relationship's a lot more centered about common interests, commonalities, hobbies and interests, things to do together, activities to do together. Whereas someone who's sexual usually centers their life a lot more, in my experience, around the bedroom. So it's like, for example, if you've got a heterosexual partner and you get home and they want sex, it will be very much getting you in the mood for sex, very much like trying to instigate sex with you, very much like giving you the look that they want sex and all this type of thing. And you kind of know that when you meet them, you're likely going to be a situation where they want sex and a lot of physical touching and all this type of stuff. Whereas, and when I've been on dates or when I've even been in the room with sexuals, a lot of time I can feel sexual energy from them towards me. Some of them, not all of them, obviously. And so it's very different. But when I'm with asexuals, for example, I do asexual meetups in the UK. Just being in asexual company is amazing. There's no sexual energy towards me. Everyone's like really relaxed in the company of other people. It's sort of, you're like, I mean, I have one of my bestest friends, my best asexual friend, they come to my meetups anyway. So I was going to say it's like being at home and so comfortable, but obviously specifically even more so with them. But it's like you can just sit, chat, be yourself. It's like having friendship, and it's like there's none of that sexual attraction. There's none of this sexual like, oh, I really want to get in your pants type energy going on, or I really like attracted to you in a sexual way. It's all like more laid back. It's more like a family type of familiar feel. It's more like you're just chilling and relaxing with relatives or something. That's kind of how it feels. It feels like they're an extended family, if you know what I mean. Hey, it's nice to see you, my life. How are you doing? Lots of love. Nice to see you. So yeah, you have news. Good. Spill the news, my life. So my life, it comes on this channel quite a bit in chat. So they update us on news. So yeah, so if you are looking for signs of asexuality, you'd look for things like for example, if you're trying to question yourself, like if you're not into touching in a sexual parts, genitals and stuff like that, if they don't appeal to you, if you're not like if you're not really interested in the genital area. I'm not interested in genitals at all. If you are not looking at anyone thinking I want, if you just don't ever think about having sex with anyone, that would be pretty much a sign that you're definitely likely to be asexual. If you are seeing different people and you're more likely thinking like, I'd love to play a board game with you, or I'd love to take a walk with you, I'd love to explore your mind and know more about you intelligently, and sex is not part of that, then you would more likely be asexual, because you'd be interested in the person, the mind, the soul, the spirit, that type of thing, and you really would be not thinking about their genitalia if you're asexual usually. Obviously, if you're in a relationship with a sexual person, then that's different, because you're going to be if you're having sex with them, then you'll be thinking about that, because you've got to, you got to prepare to do that, right? But if you are an asexual person that's coming from your own point of view, you wouldn't usually think about that type of stuff. My life. So my boyfriend is okay with a poly relationship, right? And now I have a boyfriend and a partner, and my partner and me aren't really official because we're getting to know each other before it's official. And he's from the UK. Oh, right, okay. Well, I'm glad they're okay with a poly. You already know I'm monogamous, but it's like me and my best friend Sam, we were having a conversation on Skype, so we were Skyping each other, and we were saying we were quite surprised at how many people are poly in the asexual community. We're like, is anyone monogamous anymore in the asexual community? Because there's a lot of people that are poly in the asexual community, I've noticed, like on dating sites and apps, for example. And it's like, yeah, I think for me personally, it's like I've got, I'd have enough to cope with taking care of one person and growing and developing one relationship without having multiple. Like, one is I'm not really wired that way, and two is like I'd rather pour all my time, energy, effort into that one person, and then myself and my hobbies, interests, and being on here, obviously. It's very difficult for me to get a relationship anyway, because I'm very, very hyper romantic, but also because I do this channel, I'm very open about being asexual, and a lot of asexual guys don't like that. They're like, oh, well, I'm not out to the world, so I can't be with you. You are valid. Oh, thank you. Thanks, Milo. Thanks for a beautiful sunflower. Thank you. Yeah, it's kind of like, is there any monogamy in the world left? But oh, that's good. Great to hear. Yes, it's very good to hear, my life. Congratulations. It's best to like what you like and be you. That's what I would say for anyone, however you identify on the asexual spectrum, or however you identify in life. It's always best to be assured that whatever you feel's right for you is right for you. No one has the right to tell you what's right for you or wrong for you, or dictate to you, or say you're wrong, or whatever. You should be who you were born to be in your own right. Do you know what I mean? So, you know what I'm saying? And people who are healthy can disagree and agree to disagree. Like, I know not everyone agrees with what I believe and think, and that's fine. I respect that, Lots of people actually look down on poly relationships. Wow, I forgot that we are in the Valentine's Day month. Yes. So, like I said years ago, 2015, I launched International, not Singles Day, but International Celebrate Being Single Day. So every year, I used to, on my channel, do day in the life of me, celebrating being single. There's some footage still on this channel, because I keep all the footage. There's a video about it, more than one, I'm sure. And one of them was a whole day I spent in Bristol, and I went to the zoo, and I went to the cinema, and I recorded my day. It was really good from the moment I went down the road from my home and going to the train station. So I always watch that video. It's really cool. I loved that day. It's amazing. So I love self-dating. So for me, when everyone's celebrating Valentine's Day, if they're in a couple, I celebrate being single every single February the 14th. So I don't feel sad that day ever again, being on my own. I love it because it's my day, So couples celebrate Valentine's Day. I celebrate International Celebrate Being Single Day. And I will be doing so again this February the 14th. And I can't wait. It's my day. I'm really looking forward to it because I'm having a day off doing only things that I love to do. And you'll see some videos about that. They might be shorts videos. I'm doing shorts videos as well now. So for people who come on this channel that want really short videos, there's a new thing on YouTube called Shorts, #Shorts. And those videos are meant to be a minute or less in time. So I've been doing some of them, as well as still trying to do my chat show. Self-love is important. Yes, my life. It's very important. I do love it when I date myself. I love going to the cinema, but obviously the cinemas are shut in the UK because of lockdown at the moment. But I love the cinema. There's something so romantic for me about the cinema. It's such a wonderful experience. It's just like every day's a Disney day when I go to the cinema. Like, I love Disney stuff. I'm a Disney girl. You might have noticed my cuddly toys in the background. And my face and stuff. Yeah, I live like a teenager. I love it every single day of my life. It's great. And so, yeah, it's just like, it's very important to self-love and to love who you are, you know. People can't help being themselves, and it's best to be yourself. Singles can be happy as well. The plushies are super cute. Oh, thank you. One of my asexual friends bought me Pusheen, which is the emoji off Facebook that I love. And then they bought me the I'm trying to point. They bought me the pink zebra as well for Christmas. And then my best friend bought me the Eeyore over there for my birthday last year. My best asexual friend. And then I bought the Mickey Mouse from Disneyland Paris when I went to Disneyland Paris in 2017 for my 21st mindset birthday. Every birthday, I'm always 21 in mindset. I reprogram my mind to be 21 years old. I'm not 21 in birth certificate age, disclaimer, but I don't care about my birth certificate age because I love being the 21-year-old me that I was born to be, teenager me. So I live like a teenager in lifestyle, like cuddly toys, sparkly things, as you've seen. And then I have 21st mindset. So, yes. Oh, the donkey is from Winnie the Pooh. Yes, the donkey is definitely Winnie the Pooh. Yes, Eeyore. It's Eeyore. I love Eeyore. My life's going to be 19 next month. Congratulations, my life. That's awesome. You're catching me up. Bless you. Yes. Yeah, it was really, I experienced some, not very nice attitude when I was in one of the dating groups, the new dating groups on Facebook, for asexuals. I experienced a lot of rudeness, and one of the things was the fact I wouldn't give my age. Like, if I've got a guy who's interested in actually being in a serious committed relationship with me and he really wants to know my birth certificate age, then I will tell him. But I'm not going to broadcast that to the world when I don't like my birth certificate age. I don't identify with it. Sometimes I completely, like, I'm trying to work out, like, what year was I born, like, how old what's my birth certificate age now? Like, how old was I back in that year, because I don't think like that. So that's kind of, like, really weird. Cake is love. Oh, bless you. That's really awesome. I'll be 21 in a few months. Are you male or female? I like younger guys as well, but obviously, yes. So I have. Obviously, I like all types of ages as friends, but I don't tend to go for older people as friends. Apart from my best female friend's much older than me. Not much, but much. Like, she's in another decade to me. But you know, she's very young. Looking, and she's really energetic and really lovely person. But yeah, I guess most of the people, some people around my birth certificate age, but most of the people I talk to are younger, I guess. I have a 22-year-old Indian soulmate, non-romantic friend. They're amazing. So I've always believed that I've got a soulmate who's Indian. I haven't met him yet, romantic one, but I've met your female. That's really funny. Oh, bless you. Yes, I'm not attracted to females, but I thought I'd ask. You don't ask, you don't know. My life, my partner will be 20 this month, and my boyfriend will be 21 in April. Literally a sandwich. A sandwich. I love the way you put that. Oh my! I am 21 again in mindset in April. So April the 24th, which I have the same birthday as Liam, who comes in chat sometimes on here. So last year when I did a live stream of my birthday, he was celebrating at the same time, which is quite interesting. This chat is funny. It's very funny, isn't it? I love it. I love having funny chats. We're very unusual as well. Asexuals are usually very different people as well in general. Like, I was always different before I found out I was asexual. So there's usually a distinct difference about us, I think. Yeah. So it's very interesting chat. Yeah. So I think asexuals growing up, they know there's something different about them, but they might not know they're asexual. My life, too bad it's not in order. It'd be 19, 20, 21 instead of 20, 19 and 21. 20, 19, 21. You're 19. I'd be 21 again, and your partner's going to be 21. So wouldn't that mean your partner's like going to be 21, then it's 19 and 21? Or have I got that wrong? No one knows what we're talking about unless they're actually in chat. It's funny. Yeah, so I don't know if I've helped anyone to understand asexuality more. I hope I have. I think we've gone off topic a bit now. But yeah, so obviously, like I was saying, in broad terms, pure asexual is someone who doesn't experience any sexual attraction and wouldn't usually look at anyone. This is a pure asexual, someone who doesn't experience any sexual attraction, rather than on the sexual end of the asexual spectrum. They wouldn't usually look at anyone and think, I want sex with them. Doesn't enter their mind like a person in reality, in person. Right? So that's the really distinct difference. And asexuals overall tend to be more interested in like hobbies, interests, and really deep committed friendship as well. I'd say the relationships are based much more on friendship and like soulmate type of interaction overall as well. Your partner is on the ace spectrum, my life. Oh, that's brilliant. What, the guys from the UK? Oh, I might see you one day, my life, if your boyfriend flies you over here. Yeah, it'd be so cool, wouldn't it? It'd be good. I wonder if I've seen them before or know them. I know quite a few British asexual guys, but they're not suitable for me. I think I live in the UK and I like foreign guys. It's quite amusing, really, when you think about it. I don't want to leave the UK. I love my home. And I don't want marriage. Like, I've been proposed so many times marriage by foreign guys. Obviously, most want a visa. But, hey-ho. Still, it's a marriage proposal. Some people have this stereotype that asexuals... Oh, hello, Sam, my best friend. I was talking a little bit about you, saying I've got a bestest friend. And what was I saying? Oh, yes, you gave me the Eeyore, I said. The Eeyore for my birthday last year. I was talking about the Eeyore. I've been on here for over an hour now. I need the toilet as well. I just thought I'd share that with everyone. Oh, bless you. I'll probably have to go in a minute, actually, because I must have had an inkling, laugh out loud. You do have an inkling. It's like when I say my best friend, Sam, you appear magically. It's amazing. I think there was a UK soap opera with an asexual character. I forgot the name of it, though. Yes, it is on my channel. And yes, Sam has answered for me. Sam's amazing. So yes, Sam is Space Ace, by the way, if you wonder who Sam is. So yes, Emmerdale. And I did actually do at least one video on this channel. I think I've done 2 videos on this channel about that. So yes, if you look in my videos, so if you go to my channel, my specific channel, look at the about, and then next to the about is a little magnifying glass. If you click on the magnifying glass, you can search in my channels and just type Emmerdale. So yeah, so she is asexual, but she only came out as asexual towards the latter part of, was it the latter part of last year? Actually, yeah, it was last year anyway. So she's meant to have been asexual for, thanks for the thumbs up, lots of love. She's meant to have been asexual for a couple of years now, but it was all in the newspapers that, all the publications that, she's going to come out as asexual, but she never actually came out as asexual until last year. So for like well over a year, I think it's nearly 2 years, it's like, when is she going to come out as actually being asexual? Because it's very vital to have an asexual character in a main soap. It's really funny, actually, because when I've been doing Facebook dating, once I remember explaining to someone when they said, I don't understand it, I don't understand what you're talking about, asexuality, I don't get it. I said, well, if you watch soap operas, which I'm guessing you do, a mainstream soap opera, Liv, she's asexual. And he's like, oh, right. And then he shut up after that and stopped trying to say it doesn't exist, because you just reminded me, actually, that's a very good thing to use. My life. Yeah, it's like I conjured Sam up. It's really good when Sam does that. We are very connected, aren't we, me and Sam? So the bestest friends. 100% trust Sam. 100%. So they're the first person in my life I've ever trusted 100%. It's very nice to have that type of trust. So yeah, I think I need to go because I think I need to go to the toilet. And I think I've been streaming for quite a long time now. So I think I've covered most of what asexuality is like. If there's something I've missed off, then please write down in the comments below after I finish the stream. I'm still signed off sick by the doctor, by the way, so I'm still kind of like in recovering from a third infection at the moment. But I'm overall much better, which is why I can do this channel for longer. Sending love and light, sending light and love. Oh, thank you, my life. So I'm gonna say thank you to everyone in chat because I always do this before I go, and I have to make sure I pronounce your name right. So it's Dieli. Right. Thank you, Dieli, for being in chat. You'll have to remind me of how you pronounce your name again because I'll probably forget that. Thanks, Sal. Lots of love to you as well. Lots of love to my life. Nice to see you. And lots of love to my best friend, Sam. I'm going to stop the stream now, but I really appreciate you being here. Thank you for being in live chat. It's been an amazing show. We've had so much fun in chat. I've learned a lot about you. Thank you for being part of my asexual community here. I really, really appreciate you. And whether you're asexual or you're on a different spectrum entirely, you're still welcome here, as long as you know everyone's polite and kind to each other, which they have been in chat tonight. It's wonderful, and I really appreciate you from the bottom of my heart. And yes, you pronounced it right. I had to scroll back and check. You're very welcome. Thanks for the start. Hope you're feeling better soon. Thank you so much, Sam. Lots of love to you. Bye. Take care. Don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already. And if you want to be in chat again, you've got to hit the bell notification so you get notified every time I go live. So then you can come on in chat. You'll know when I'm live. So, and I'll see you on the next video live stream. And don't forget to give this video a thumbs up if you haven't already. See you soon. Bye. Bye, Sam. Bye, everyone. Take care. Lots of love.